With less than 100 days to go until the 2024 election, Donald Trump has a 60% chance at winning the presidency, even though Democrats just replaced their nominee. And so in this video, we're going to be taking a look at the 2024 electoral map based on current betting odds in each of the 50 states. We're going to begin by filling in the solid states for both candidates, states that either Harris or Trump have over a 90% chance at winning. For Kamala Harris, she is going to win the states of Washington, Oregon, California, Hawaii, Colorado, Illinois, New York, Vermont, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, the District of Columbia, and the 1st District of Maine by solid margins, according to current betting markets. She has an over 90% chance at securing a victory in these states. As for former President Trump, he is going to win in Utah, Wyoming, Idaho, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, all of Nebraska except the 2nd District, Kansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, Indiana, as well as South Carolina, Alaska, and this is typically what you would expect solid red states to be, but we have a few additional safe states for Donald Trump because of just how well he is doing all across the map. He is also now the favorite to win Iowa and Ohio with an over 90% chance in those states, as well as Texas and Florida. Florida, a state that was expected to go to President Biden 4 years ago. Joe Biden was the favorite based on the betting markets to win the Sunshine State in 2020, and now it is a solid red state. And so with these solid states filled in for both candidates, Trump is already at almost the amount of electoral votes he won in the last election, 218 out of the 232 that he eventually came out with. Kamala Harris trails with just 191. We're now going to get into the likely states that either candidate has between a 70 to 90% chance at winning. These states are going to be more competitive, but one candidate still maintains a clear edge. Starting off with the first lean district for Donald Trump, we have the 2nd District of Maine, a district that has voted Republican in both of the last 2 elections. Donald Trump actually has an 89% chance at winning, so it's just barely outside of that solid range, while Kamala Harris is currently the favorite to win in New Mexico. 5 electoral votes in a state that is shifting away from Democrats as Hispanic voters are moving towards the Republicans, and New Mexico is the only state in the country with a Hispanic majority. The odds for Democrats actually got pretty bad right before Biden dropped out. On July 15th, Democrats had just a 67% chance at winning the state. However, Kamala Harris has rebounded a bit for Democrats, but it is still not a solid blue state like it was just 2 months ago. So the state of New Mexico is currently only going to be likely Democratic. Before we continue, only 10% of you guys are actually subscribed, so please take the time to subscribe right now for more content like this leading up to the election in November. And follow me on Twitter for daily political updates, link in the description below. Next up, in Minnesota, a state that Republicans haven't won in 52 years. If Donald Trump could pull off a victory in the state, the election would essentially be over and it would be a landslide for the former president. However, Kamala Harris does maintain an 84% chance at winning, so it is still currently a likely blue state, but a 17% chance, that's almost 1 in 5. If you took 1 in 5 odds for a really big prize, you would probably take it. 17% is not low by any means, and at one point just a few weeks ago, Trump's odds went all the way up to 44 points. That is just how well Republicans were doing here. They're still doing relatively well. In 2020, Minnesota was basically a guaranteed blue state. Now it is somewhat in play, and we'll just have to wait and see what the new polling between Harris and Trump shows us, but without a doubt, Joe Biden put Minnesota in play, and Trump can still be competitive in the state this November. Virginia is also going to be more competitive than it was last time. The state was actually favored to go to Donald Trump according to the polling average on the day that Joe Biden dropped out of the election. Since then, though, with Harris now as the presumptive Democratic nominee, the odds for the Democratic Party have gone up from 57% at their all-time low up to now 80. Now, an 80% chance, that does seem pretty good, but you have to remember, Republicans still have a 1 in 5 chance at winning a state they haven't won since 2004. And looking at the Republicans' peak, at one point, they were actually the favored party here. So Virginia is no doubt going to be more competitive than it was 4 years ago. Donald Trump, just like in Minnesota, he's put Virginia in play, and so now Democrats are going to have to fight, spend money and time to defend it. Moving up to Maine, we have 2 electoral votes from the at-large vote to settle. Kamala Harris is the favorite, though, with a 79% chance at winning, Trump with a 22% chance. Now, this is a state that the former president lost by nearly double digits 4 years ago, but only by less than 3 points in 2016. Hillary Clinton made Maine competitive because of how poor of a candidate she was. And going into 2024, Democrats are going to have to fight for the state of Maine, a state where honestly they shouldn't even be worried about considering how blue it was 4 years ago, but this is a state that Kamala Harris cannot take for granted. Maine will be a likely Democratic state. And the final likely blue state on our map, the final state where Kamala Harris has an over 70% chance at winning, is the state of New Hampshire. She has a 3 in 4 chance, 76%, to Donald Trump's 24%. New Hampshire can definitely also get competitive, as seen in 2016 when Hillary Clinton won it by just 0.37%. The Granite State was less than half a percentage point from flipping in favor of the Republicans, a state that Republicans haven't won since 2000. So a Trump victory there in 2024 would be a pretty big deal. He definitely has a good chance. 24% is nothing to laugh at, but New Hampshire right now is still favored for Harris, and it will be the final likely blue state on our map. And so with all of the solid and likely states filled in for Vice President Harris, she has 225 electoral votes. However, for Trump, we have 1 likely state, but many lean states that is going to help fill up that deficit. So in North Carolina, this is a state that the GOP is heavily favored to win. Donald Trump has a 74% chance at winning. Now, if you really want to get a better perspective as to just how much better Donald Trump is doing this time than he did 4 years ago, compare states where he has a 75% chance at either winning or losing. North Carolina, a state that Trump has a 3 in 4 chance at winning. He won in the last election by just 1.3%. Compare that to a state like New Hampshire, a state that Joe Biden carried by 7%, but he only has, again, a 3 in 4 chance at winning. So Donald Trump, in a state that he narrowly won 4 years ago in North Carolina, he is now by far the favorite to win, 74-25. The former president is going to win the Tar Heel state. If Kamala Harris wins North Carolina, she'll win the election, but that is probably not going to happen. The state hasn't voted blue since 2008, and it's not going to do so in 2024. North Carolina is our only likely Republican state. And so with all the likely and solid states filled in, Trump will take back his lead with 235 electoral votes. We now have 6 states remaining, as well as the 2nd District of Maine, but it really is in these 6 states that the election will be decided. Both candidates need to win most of these states at the very least to get to 270 electoral votes. We're going to begin, though, by filling in the 2nd District of Nebraska. Kamala Harris has a 66% chance at winning, so it will be lean blue. However, it can definitely still go red. Donald Trump did win the district back in 2016. Now, there are no remaining blue lean states on this map. All the other ones are either going to be tilt or lean Republican. We're now going to begin with the first lean Republican state, and that will be Georgia. The peach state actually went to Joe Biden 4 years ago when the incumbent president carried it by 1/4 percentage point. This was an insanely close margin, and it was the most competitive state in the entire election. Now, considering just how much better of a position Biden was in 4 years ago than Harris is in right now, there's basically no chance that the vice president is going to carry Georgia as a Democrat for the second time in a row. Georgia is currently expected to flip red, with Republicans having a 61% chance at victory. This is down from when their odds were up at 80% a few weeks ago, right before Biden dropped out. But the fact still remains that Republicans are favored in the Peach State. It is still pretty unlikely that Kamala Harris is going to win a state that the GOP has carried for so many decades before Biden's very, very narrow victory in a very good national environment for the Democrats. Arizona is also going to be lean red. This is another state that Biden carried by less than 1%. Arizona was the second closest election in 2020. 0.31% was the statewide margin. Today, however, Donald Trump has a 61% chance at winning, the same odds as he does in Georgia. He is the clear favorite to win back Arizona. Again, another state Republicans won for decades before Joe Biden flipped it in 2020. But the margins in these two states, they simply were too small, and it really will be very difficult for Democrats to overcome the unpopularity of their party. And since they're the party in power now, they are basically being held responsible for all the problems in this country. Republicans no longer have that burden, and that is their biggest advantage going into 2024. So Arizona is going to be lean Republican as well, and probably a big surprise this cycle is Nevada. Nevada is now a redder state than the Midwest. Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, 3 states that have known to be reliably blue since the 1990s all the way until 2016. These 3 states are now more liberal than Nevada, a state that actually went to Republicans as late as 2004. It's been 20 years since any Republican has won the silver state, but it's been over 30 since any Republican has won in Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, if you exclude 2016, when Donald Trump carried all 3 of these states by less than 1 percentage point. So Nevada is a state that Trump has never won before. He lost it by 2 points in both of the last 2 elections, but he is now the favorite. He leads in the polling by over 5% against Kamala Harris, and he probably is going to win Nevada regardless of whether or not Kamala Harris actually wins the election. Donald Trump currently has, again, a 61% chance at winning, a 6-10 chance to Kamala's 4-10. So the state of Nevada is also going to be lean Republican on our map. We're now going to finish off the map up in the Midwest. This is really where the election will be decided. Kamala Harris has to win all 3 of these states if she wants to get to the White House. Donald Trump only has to win 1, and these are all 3 states that he's won before in 2016. We're going to begin with Wisconsin, the final lean state on our map. Lean states are defined as states where either candidate has between a 55 to 70% chance at winning. Anything less than a 55% chance is going to be a tilt state. So starting off in Wisconsin, Republicans have a 57% chance at securing a victory here. Donald Trump's odds have shot up since just a few days ago when it was basically 50-50. New polling has shown Trump to be dominating in Wisconsin, and Wisconsin is the most Republican out of all 3 of these former blue wall states. Michigan and Pennsylvania almost always vote to the left of Wisconsin, and if Wisconsin goes, the election is over. Kamala Harris loses. So basically, the fact that Trump is currently expected to win the state by a lean margin really shows you how comfortable of a position he is in. Michigan and Pennsylvania, though, they're basically going to go down to the wire. We basically have a statistical tie in both of the states. In Pennsylvania, the Keystone State, this is Biden's birth state. If you go back to where we were just a few months ago, Joe Biden had a 6-10 chance at holding on to the state, a state he won by 1% in 2020. However, right after that disastrous debate and when he was about to drop out, Biden's odds went down to just 28% at one point, so this market really has gone through a big reversal. Now, though, Democrats have a 53% chance, so they are ever so slightly favored, but Pennsylvania really could go either way, and there's no guarantee the Democrats are going to win it again. But one thing's for sure is that they have to win Pennsylvania. Without Pennsylvania, they have virtually no path. Even if they won Michigan, Wisconsin, and even Arizona, if they don't win Pennsylvania, they do not get to 270. And the final state on our map yet to fill in is the Wolverine state of Michigan. This is the closest state in the election right now based on the betting markets. Democrats have a 51% chance at winning, Republicans 59%. I mean, this is basically as close as you can possibly get. Joe Biden carried the state by almost 3 points, but now it is very much in doubt as to whether or not his party is going to be able to win the state again in the next election. So Michigan is going to be the final state we fill in. It's going to be tilt Democratic, but it's not going to be enough. Based on the betting markets, this is where people's money are. Donald Trump is expected to win 278 electoral votes to Kamala Harris's 260, which means that right now, the former president remains the favorite to return to the White House. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe right now for more content like this leading up to the election in November, and join my Discord server, link in the description below.